It's me, it's Queen Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Okay, so I got a message from a gentleman, and he said, are sexual dreams really demonic attacks? Now, I'm going to tell you flat out yes and no. On the no, is that sometimes dreams are just dreams. Sometimes they're just, you met somebody hot, or you're having a hot relationship or something like that. Sometimes it's just, a dream. It's nothing to it. But other times it is a demonic attack. And from folklore and from legend, we hear a lot about these stories from different cultures, from different time periods. This is very well documented. If you want to know more about it, you can go to Google and you can type in incubus and succubus. And incubus, I-N-C-U-B-U-S, succubus, S-U-C-C-U-B-U-S, are demons. The incubus is the masculine form. The succubus is the feminine form. Now, these demons will come to you as somebody you'd be sexually attracted to. A beautiful person you would find to be beautiful. All of us are turned on by different things. So whatever turns you on, this demon will come mask itself as this thing and come to you, have sex with you, and steal your energy through the sexual act. The whole purpose is to steal your energy. In some folklores, they think that they collect the fluids from the men and use it to then impregnate women. In some folklores, they take it that far. It depends on where you're reading it from. And in different legends, the name changes. But if you Google incubus and succubus, you'll see like 1,000 million pages about videos and information on these beings. You'll even see pictures that people have drawn, like in the Middle Ages. So this is very well documented and very well known. So every time somebody has a sexual dream, it's not believed that they're being attacked by one of these demons, but it's believed that it does happen, and probably more frequently than people would know. And people will say, well, why would these demons do this? Number one, they say, is to steal your energy. They like to steal the energy from humans. Demons are supposed to be natural enemies of humans. So they want to destroy. That's their whole purpose, to drain your energy. And they said that you can tell the difference between a sex dream that's just a dream and a sex dream that's a demonic attack by how you feel after the dream. If you feel extremely drained, then you have been visited by one of these things. And like I said before, some of you may have heard of this before in your own culture. If you have a different name for it, please tell us in the comment section. But this is what they're telling us throughout the ages and all the way back in time. We have lots of documentation of it, especially from the medieval period, but we have all kinds of different cultures that talk about the same thing. But a lot of cultures give things obviously their own name, so we don't know it's the same thing until modern times, when we're now juxtaposing these things and being like, oh, y'all had one of these, we had one of these. So these demons are said to do that, and in current times people still say that they come across them. There are also ones that don't have sex with you. When I was a young girl, and I would say from like about 10 till about 22, I had this being that would visit me. And some of you out there may have had these same types of experiences, but people are very leery to talk about these kind of things because people think you crazy. But y'all know, everybody think I'm crazy anyway. So I can pretty much talk about whatever I want. Bottom line is that I had this thing, and it would come to me. It never spoke, never said a word. And all I could get from it like telepathically was feeding. Its whole mentality was about feeding, and it fed off people's energy. It never had sex with me, but it would lay on me, and I would feel paralyzed. And I would know that it wasn't a dream because I would be screaming and wiggling and trying to get away from this thing. And all it would do would lay on me. And then I would feel so drained the next day. When it first started to happen, obviously I thought it was a dream. But the reason why I knew it wasn't a dream was because I started to look it up in the encyclopedia. And I found people who were talking about it, firsthand accounts about the same exact thing and describing it exactly the same way. So what happened with me is I went to Africa. And when I went to Africa, one of the things that happened is I came across this gentleman who was the head of the family that, took me in and showed me around Africa. And he gave me certain things. He gave me this ring. He gave me, different things like items to protect me. Protection amulets, protective items, what they call them. And he also did like some kind of blessing on me and things along those lines. And I didn't really think much of it. I just was grateful. I thought it was a nice gesture and I was grateful. I came home 2 months later, and the first night I was home, I felt this thing come into my room. And this time, usually it would lay on me and then I'd be paralyzed and I couldn't move and I'd be screaming or trying to scream. I don't think anything was even coming out and I couldn't get away. This time, when it laid on me, it shattered like glass. Like the whole thing, like it was like literally like glass. And it never happened again. Never experienced it again. Nothing like that ever happened again. Now, I've seen other things since then of the paranormal nature, but nothing like that before or since. That was the most disturbing thing that's ever happened to me. And it didn't happen once. It happened like 20 or 30 times between like 10 or 11 up to like 21, 22 years old. So this is not something that I was just, imagining. And the more I, read about it, more so after the fact, the more stuff I found. So some of the times these beings don't literally have sex with you. Sometimes they just lay on you and suck out your energy. And sometimes they do violate you sexually. And a lot of times when it's a sexual thing, the person doesn't realize that they just had sex with a demon. They just think they had a kinky dream about a hot chick, and they wake up and they're like, man, I'm tired. But according to the literature, it just drains you. And it's said to happen mostly with people who can be of help to the earth, people who can be of light, people who can help others. So those of us who are trying to get out there and help people, we're the ones they more likely would attack. And during that time, I was young. I didn't have no protections. I didn't know anything about protective magic. I didn't know anything about cleansing my space, none of that kind of stuff. So I was wide open. I was wide open at that time until I went to Africa. So some of you out there in the comment section, you may have experienced this too. You may or may not feel comfortable admitting that to other people, but I know I'm not the only one because I've read too many accounts of it in books and online. So it happens. And like I said before, if you do have something like that happen, you have to cleanse your space and you have to get some protective magic and things along those lines. But those aren't the only things that can happen. Like those entities, there are other things too. There's, spirits, there's all kinds of things that can happen. So if you are somebody who's suffering from these kind of things, there are things you can do to cleanse your space and to get rid of it. That's what you need to know. And you can take control. I just didn't know. That's why it kept happening, because I didn't know all that time. But when I finally found out, it was after the fact. So yeah, that can happen. Incubus and succubus are the names that I personally know and read about. You can Google it and find lots and lots and lots of stuff. But they're called other things in other cultures. So it just depends on who you ask. But a lot of people have experienced it. And the times when I was talking about being paralyzed and, trying to get away, I was also told there's a neurological disorder that's similar to that. But the difference between the two of them is that I could feel this thing laying on me breathing. I could read its thoughts. I could feel it, I wasn't just paralyzed and couldn't move. I think there is something that your brain does that sometimes, but this was definitely not it. I could feel it. It was thinking about feeding, and I was what it was feeding off of. So I was laying there like what the hell is going on? But yeah, that does happen. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you know somebody who's experienced this or who's thinking about this or has, know somebody else that was talking about it, please pass this video on to them. Likewise, if you would like to send me a love donation, I will leave my PayPal. If you'd like to talk to me online, I'll leave my online information. And if you want an appointment with me for a reading, please hit me up and email and I will give you an appointment. Okay, guys? Thank you. See you later.